Hello, everyone. You are listening to your Palm Beach Guide with the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce, and my name is Kiana Rivera. I am the Vice President of Membership here at the Chamber, and today we are joined by our guest, Gavin Guinan, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Flower Construction. You guys know the drill. We will do a quick read over of the bio, and then we will jump right into the interview. So he is He's super involved in this community, but when it comes to his business, they're a little bit newer to the chamber and they're a little bit newer to me. And this is my first time sitting down with Gavin. So Flower Construction is a small first full service contractor based in South Florida and the New York metro area. And Guinan is charged with overseeing operations in Florida. With over 40 years in the business, there isn't much that he hasn't dealt with. I was about 13 when I started in earnest, so over the years I have seen it all, says Guinan, whose office is in West Palm Beach. He started in the early 80s in California through his high school until 1992 when he moved to Colorado, and it was there that he transitioned from using his hands and body to using his brain as a superintendent. From there, Flower Construction is a team of skilled artisans, engineers, and technical experts that is known for bringing craftsmanship, innovation to the complex process of construction. It is well known for its new structures, additions, and renovations, historic restorations, and LEED projects. LOL lead. We pride ourselves in successful collaborations with top architects and designers to deliver elegant and finely crafted homes of enduring value, he says. The company, established 25 years ago by John Flower, who still leads the business and the New York office, is acclaimed for its collaborative relationships with clients, innovations, and buildings that are beautiful and built to last. At the core of my approach is a belief that construction is not just about erecting structures, but also crafting legacies, says Guinan, who is easygoing, articulate, and a great communicator. We specialize in turning visions into meticulously crafted realities, as well as the marriage of natural materials such as stone and wood, he says. Guinan's talents are uniquely suited to construction, as evidenced by his enthusiasm for the business and its many facets. He also thoroughly enjoys mentoring those who will follow. Given my diverse background as a tradesman, supervisor, COO, I try to spend much time in the field as possible, as my mentorship and instincts are best suited to supporting the field operations. I spend the balance of my time developing business relationships and networking, he says. Aside from his leadership and mentoring abilities, Guinan loves the logistical challenges of construction projects. I have the fortunate ability to realize how a project needs to be broken down into maybe millions, definitely hundreds of thousands of tiny individual decisions. I can see how they are interrelated and comprise the entire project. This requires a high level of coordination between not only the subcontractors and suppliers, but also the design team, owners, architects, and various consultants that bring their specific disciplines and expertise to the project at large. Then the key is to clearly distill and disseminate all that back down to the individual tasks that collectively become the project in its entirety, he says. From the drawing board to putting out the welcome mat, there are a few construction phases that Guinan particularly cherishes. A couple of milestones that I really enjoy are as shared structure emerges from the ground and the wallboard is installed, defining the once open spaces of a cavernous structure, and the completion when you see how the marriage of natural materials come together and the jewelry of the home is in place. At the core, Guinan's success is in his belief in the power of relationships. The Florida office employs more than 30 people and has what Guinan calls a family-like environment. He is likewise understandably proud of the leaders he has helped to develop within Flower Construction. On a personal note, Guinan is married with 10 children. I actually have 3 sons and 7 daughters. My 2 older sons work for us here at Flower Construction, and both have had exposure over their lives because of my career in this industry. It came very naturally for them to choose this as their career, he says. As a hard worker and an optimist, it is no surprise that Guinan is ambitious about leaving a legacy of Flower Construction. I want to maintain an evergreen company that perpetuates well beyond my career and is known for building multi-generational projects to the highest standards, as well as a company that is respected for its integrity and provides opportunities for growth and stability to its employees. Holy cow, Gavin, you're amazing. What a bio.
I don't know about that, but I try.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you making the trek in the rain. So really, thank you.
Wasn't too bad.
Oh, I love it. Well, I want to start first. I mean, you have an exponential amount of experience in this industry. So walk me through, after you graduated high school and were looking into a college career, if you went to college, how did you get in this industry? Is your family in it as well?
Actually, it's an interesting story, and it started before I got out of high school. My parents did a large renovation to their home, and I had the ability to, one, get exposed to a pretty good contractor to work for, and I had the desire to make money.
Right.
So I found a way to help him in any way that I could, after school, weekends, things like that. And as a hard worker, that led into through my high school years, where this contractor and some of the subcontractors that I was exposed to sought me out. And I got to be a pretty good wheelbarrow operator when I was still young in high school. But the real transition into construction actually happened my senior year in high school. It's interesting. I always got gas at this one particular gas station. And I pulled in, and this guy who owned the gas station and service station, old school, he was the mechanic, and he pumped the gas and everything, California. He walked out one day because I had a small pickup truck and a toolbox on the back. He goes, "You're a contractor, right?" And I thought for a millisecond. I said, "Yes, I am. How can I help you?" And he invited me to his home and showed me a very basic renovation that he wanted to do on the back of his home.
Right.
And that kind of propelled me, if you will, from kind of doing things to actually acting in more of a general type of a relationship with the owner. Had he known I was probably still in high school,
he would have been like,
he probably had an issue, but he was gone early in the morning, and I had a couple of classes, and I was at his house most days by 9 o'clock, and I'd work as late as I could. And
wow.
It's kind of a fun story, but that really kind of propelled me and really set the hook into me. That I liked the industry, and it just kept leading to more and more.
And then you said that this was in California, right?
Yes.
What part?
Southern California, Ventura County is where I grew up.
Nice.
And still have family out there, and definitely enjoy going back when I can.
And then what brought you to Florida?
Actually, I think it was 92, the market in California was very soft at the time. And starting out with a young family and the need to provide kind of drove me to Colorado, which was a very strong emerging market at the time. There's a lot of work out there. So it was very easy for me to go out, and I love the mountains. I love backpacking and skiing and all those things. So it was an easy place for me to go.
I'm headed to Colorado actually in next month or so because I've never been out there. And I say I like to hike. And I probably do once I get out there, but I'm not like a really big time hiker. I'm a beach person. I live at the beach. I swim in the water. So I'm excited to head out there. I've never been. And then how long were you in Colorado for?
I was actually about 10, 11 years I was in Colorado.
It's a solid chunk of time though.
Yeah, it definitely exposed me to a different way to build. Building in the ice and the snow is definitely different than what I had learned in California.
Right.
Just the methods and the type of construction that's out there.
And then from Colorado, you then transferred to Florida.
Came straight here to Florida. And again, the market softened. I was up in the Vail and Aspen area, and the market softened. And a gentleman I was working with out there had a business here in Florida. And this was in 2002, as the market here in Florida was just on the brink of a pretty heavy explosion of work. And it brought me down here, and I made a 2-year commitment because I never wanted to be in Florida.
Oh, no, really?
I said, I'll come down there for a couple of years and kind of help you stabilize for this planned growth. And that was 22 years ago, so I'm still here.
And they roped you in. Is this still with Flower Construction?
No, it wasn't. This was another contractor that I came from Colorado to Florida for.
And then where did you and your family kind of settle?
We're actually in Boynton Beach here in Palm Beach County.
Great.
Interesting story with that is that, we didn't know what to do. Florida might as well have been the, Mars for us. We just had never been here, didn't have family. And how
many kids did you have at that point?
At that point, we had 6.
My goodness. 6. You have to move 6 kiddos.
Kids. Yep. 6 kids came with us at that point. And instead of renting a house, we said, let's just buy one. We didn't know the right neighborhood, the wrong neighborhood. And we're still in the same place. So all good.
Oh, that's amazing. Just the fact that you guys, that's strength in itself for you and your wife to just up and do that. So I commend you both for that. That's incredible.
Thank you.
And kind of walk me through when you got to Flower Construction. Well, first, now that we've covered you a little bit, let's talk about Flower Construction. Tell me about this company and the fact that you've been there for so long. Clearly you have a tie to stay there, and just the level of leadership there has not only increased your leadership and the ability to mentor, but also it's kept you there. And that's really important to highlight.
It was a very easy marriage with John Flower for me. We share a lot of before I actually made the transition to work with them, we shared a lot of the same clients, the same architects, and it was, he and I have very similar values as far as the way things should be run. So it was a very easy marriage for us. And it's been very strong. Obviously, the longevity of it and what we do is pretty amazing in the industry.
Absolutely. And so you guys have been here for how long again?
Well, the actual flower construction in Florida is a few years old.
Okay.
It's not as long as Gavin's been here.
Right. And then same thing with John, right?
John's been very active up in the New York metropolitan
awesome.
market for the past 20. Flower construction been in business for 25 up there.
And then they transferred down here. Great.
Like a lot of architects and contractors seem to be migrating. It was a good move for him to come to Florida.
And so where are your main clients based? Is it all across South Florida? Is it like, Fort Lauderdale up to Palm Beach or everywhere?
It's, it's interesting that, I've had architects refer to Southeast Florida as a megalopolis, and it's just kind of one street leads into the other, and there's really no break between point A and point B. We have clients up in Jupiter as well as all the way down into Key Biscayne.
Oh, beautiful.
And Coconut Grove. Miami's a very different market than Palm Beach is. When you talk about Palm Beach and the homes and the clientele, it's very different. Obviously Miami is a much more international clientele, and Palm Beach tends to be a little bit more domestic.
Right, absolutely. And then real quick, you're listening to Your Palm Beach Guide with the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce, and we are joined by our guest, Gavin Guinan with Flower Construction. My apologies, of Flower Construction. And we're just touching base on the business of flower construction and the work that they do that spans all the way from Key Biscayne up to Palm Beach and even up to New York, which is what we talked about earlier. So walk me through a little bit. How has working with your sons really just put a new perspective on your work environment?
It's it's been a pleasure, obviously, to be around them, but we've always been able to maintain a very professional relationship.
I know. What's that like?
They don't call me Dad in the office; they call me Gavin.
Really?
Which was very strange for me at the beginning. I'm like, ooh. But I think it was as important for them, or probably more important for them, to keep that distance.
Right.
And when I gave them an opportunity to come work for me, it was everybody's going to look at you very hard.
Yeah.
And what the average person may be able to get away with, you're not going to, because everybody's
got eyes on you. Right.
And I think they've done just an exceptional job in maintaining a very professional relationship. I never reviewed them. I don't talk about their salaries with them. We don't talk about the weekend. I have other people that do that for them to make sure that personal relationship is severed a little bit, and there's no favoritism that seems to be apparent to the other employees. And again, I've had other employees come to me just, countless times, and, very proud for me to hear, but the compliments that they provide both of them, that they're hardworking, they're focused, they're dedicated, and the things that both the father wants to hear, as well as an employer wants, as a boss wants to hear. So it's kind of a good thing to hear.
Yeah. You were talking about how they call you Gavin. And I remember I spoke at one of my high school's graduations a couple weeks ago. And my teacher that I had when I was so young, her name is Mrs. Flesh. And she always keeps saying, she's like, Kiana, call me Brittany. It's okay. You can call me Brittany. And I'm like, I don't think I can ever call you Brittany. Like, I just have to get over that myself, because you always will be like Mrs. Flesh or, whatever that is, or even dad or mom for that instance. So I think that's great that you've kept that boundary with them. And then too, when you go home and you spend time with them on the weekends, like, it's not all work. It's like, this is family time and then this is work time. So I think that's awesome.
It's kind of interesting. They'll put up their hand. If the rare time I do say something about, did you see that email? I get to talk to the hand. And they just go like this and walk away.
Good.
They will not.
They also maintain that
boundary.
Keep me in line, yes. Oh, that's awesome. Very, very good. So I want to touch on a little bit, kind of share with me what's one of your favorite projects you've worked on that you really walked away. I mean, I'm sure all of them because high quality, high just customer service, the way that your business runs is to the highest caliber. But where you personally walked away and were like, I'm really proud of that piece, you know?
The most rewarding jobs, because I look at everything that we do as rewarding, because the nice thing about construction is you can turn around and see what you did.
Right.
You can look at it and you've left something behind. So there's reward in that. But the ones that I feel, especially as my career's advanced, the ones that I remember the most are two types. One that is very challenging, the complexity of a job that we had here in Palm Beach, the amount of logistical coordination that needed to come in to play.
Was it a home or was it business?
Home.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
99.9% of my has always been residential, single family.
Residential.
Haven't built a bridge, haven't built a strip mall, haven't built any of these things. It's always been residential.
Okay.
A lot of times it'll be tenant build out on a high rise, a penthouse, different things like that. So again, the challenge of logistics, the coordination that's around it, I find that's really gives me a charge. And I've really been drawn to the historic preservation. I feel that when you're able to be in a home that is, decades, hundreds of years old, the history, I stop and I go, well, how many parties, how many tragedies, how many emotions have been experienced in this space because of the age of it and what they've seen? Who stood in this doorway over time? What's happened in these rooms? And that gives me a draw to again, be able to preserve them to the best of my ability.
Right.
So when I have an opportunity to do a historic preservation job, I definitely will chase it a little bit more than just the average new house to build somewhere.
What about when it comes to the historic preservation, what pieces do you try to keep that are a part of the home? Like, is it an antique door or is it something that it's the piece of land that's historic and it's just been there forever?
Most of the time I've had the structure, the house is what is historic, not necessarily the property.
Okay.
Occasionally the property will have obviously historical value to it, meaning that, whether it be the landscaping or whether it be an old dock, maybe.
Something like that.
With it.
Yeah.
But normally when you have a structure or a home that's being preserved, sometimes you'll find we found rooms, it's like we kind of pull that wall down. You're like, oh my gosh, look at what's behind here. We've discovered tile mosaics that are behind just a drywall facade. And you're like, why was this hidden in time? But for some reason it may have been, just kind of buried and hidden for whatever reason. And when you discover those are pretty cool. But we try to preserve everything that's historic. And a lot of times a old building will get some new things. Somebody may have added onto it and they put a new door. Given the opportunity, we'll go back and try to replicate some of the old parts of the house in the new area, because there's really nothing historically balanced, if you will, with those new spaces.
It's always like mismatched. You have something that's very old.
You see that quite often.
And it's a big contrast there. Oh, I love that. I think for when it comes to how we can help your business, and because you said you've been down in Florida for 3 years now?
I've been in Florida for 22 years.
Well, but like the business flower construction.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So how can the chamber and our chamber members support you, not only as a member, but also just with sharing your story when people start to ask, or if they don't ask, what are those like quick tidbits of conversation?
I've always felt that anything in business is really solely based on a relationship.
Right.
And, I have, sometimes I get a call where I've known an architect, for an example. I may have known them for 5 or 6 years, 10 years. And all of a sudden out of the blue, I've got a project for you. So I don't look for what can you give to me or what can I give to you in that part of it, but rather the relationship building, because if the synergy or the ability to do something together with another chamber member comes up, it'll come up organically. And that's what I prefer. And it's the nature of our business that really allows that time to pass. And all of a sudden it's like, you know what, we've been talking for years. I've known you for years. And now, just yesterday, I met somebody,
Right.
and they, I believe that there's an opportunity for you here with them. So it's more the relationship. I think if you were to answer your question,
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
just the relationship that I look to.
Well, and I'm glad that you said that because again, I feel like I stress this at everywhere I go, whether it's our events or our orientation or even this podcast. It's the focus on relationships here is the way to do business. And sometimes I get new members all the time who they don't fully understand that and then they don't make it. They just don't grasp the opportunity one that these all of us have a history in Florida, whether it's over 20 years or if you're a native here. And usually there's some sort of tie that says, I want to make my community better. I want to make, my schools better where I live, work, and play, the whole 9 yards. So I think that when you focus on relationships, business naturally comes. And it's hard to say that, and it's hard to believe that if you're new. But as time goes, you're a testament to it. You've been here for so long and business comes, that's always fulfilled.
Yeah, it's not just selling something or
Right.
pushing, hey, I've got this idea and pushing it out there. It takes patience.
Right.
And, earlier in my career, you don't have that patience. You don't have that experience that it really, every day you're reminded of all of those experiences. But most importantly, that those relationships come back.
Right.
And that's why you always preserve them. You always work on them. And
100%.
yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Gavin, thank you. You are listening to your Palm Beach Guide with the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce. And again, our guest today was Gavin Guinan, the Chief Operating Officer of Flower Construction. And so if you want to learn more about Gavin, please visit our website. He's a trustee of the Chamber. He's also an active member in the Chamber. And I'm also happy to make personal introductions as well. So just holler and let me know. Thank you.